According to the latest report from the Canadian press, published on August 22, 2025, a witness claimed she saw two children walking hand in hand along a quiet rural road in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. But what sent chills down her spine was that they weren't wandering alone. She said that just ahead of them stood a mysterious woman, around 50 to 60 years old, with loose curls in her hair, waiting beside an older gold sedan. Its back door already open. If this account is true, it could mark the last known sighting of Jack and Lilly Sullivan alive on the morning of May 2nd. From torn pieces of Lily's pink blanket, to polygraph tests of their parents, to suspicion falling on the biological father, none of it has led to answers. And now, a gold sedan and a mysterious woman may change the course of the entire investigation. Join me as we dig through newly released court documents and uncover the details hidden inside. Stay with me until the end, because what's buried in these files may leave you shocked. Part 1. The Gold Sedan Witness. According to newly released court documents obtained by the Canadian press on August 22, 2025, the most unsettling lead so far in the disappearance of Jack and Lilly Sullivan did not come from DNA, fingerprints, or even polygraph results. It came from the eyes of a single witness, a woman driving with her sons on a quiet rural road in Pictou County, who says she saw something that has haunted her ever since. Her name is Natasha Haywood, and she told police that on the morning of May 2, 2025, she noticed two young children walking hand in hand along Lansdowne Station Road. One was a small boy with dirty blonde hair wearing shorts. The other was a girl with darker hair tied into pigtails, wearing a tank top with thin blue straps. To many, that description sounds eerily close to Jack and Lilly. But what makes this account so haunting is not simply the children. It's what, or rather who, was waiting for them. Haywood said that just ahead of the children stood a Caucasian woman, around 50 to 60 years old, with loose curls in her hair. She wasn't simply passing by. She was standing beside an older gold or tan sedan, and the back door of the car was already open, as if prepared for the children to climb inside. Think about that image for a moment. Two little kids, no older than kindergartners, calmly walking toward a stranger's car, while a woman stands watching, ready to receive them. If this account is true, then it could represent the last sighting of Jack and Lilly Sullivan alive, not wandering into the woods as their parents believed, not hiding near their home, but walking with purpose hand in hand directly toward a vehicle that would take them away forever. By the time Haywood reported this sighting to police on May 31st, nearly a month had passed. That delay alone has cast a long shadow. Why wait so long? Why not connect it to the missing children immediately? Haywood herself admitted that at first she thought the girl she saw was 9 or 10 years old and the boy about 5. That doesn't perfectly match Lilly, 6, and Jack, 4. Only later, when she saw the news coverage, did she start to wonder if her memory had deceived her and if those children were, in fact, the missing siblings. When investigators met her in early June, she led them back to the scene, pointing out the corner of Gairloch Road and Lansdowne Station Road. She told them she had seen the children walking north toward Westville, straight toward the waiting sedan. Court documents reviewed by Canadian press and global news confirm this account, but the details remain frustratingly vague. The sedan was old, tan or gold, make and model unknown. The woman was only described in general terms. No license plate, no photographs, no second witness to back it up. And yet, this lead is unique. It is not a rumor or a piece of gossip from social media. It is a description of a physical moment in time. Two children, a car, a woman waiting with the door open. In a case that has produced hundreds of tips, most of them dead ends, this one stands apart. It paints a clear picture, and it offers a theory that could explain how two children vanished without a trace. If this was indeed Jack and Lilly, then they did not simply slip out a back door and get lost. They were met. And they left with someone. The implications are disturbing. If the children were calm, not resisting, then they likely recognized the woman. Could she have been a relative, a neighbor, someone who had visited the family before? That would explain why two young children would follow her without hesitation. But if she was a stranger, then how did she gain their trust so quickly? Did she tell them their mother had sent her? Did she promise something enticing? In either case, this was not a random accident. It was an encounter. And encounters leave intent behind them. Here is where the broader investigation matters. Around this same time, court documents reveal that RCMP had conducted polygraph tests on both parents. Malehya Brooks Murray and her partner Daniel Martel were tested on May 12th and deemed truthful. The biological father, Lilly Sullivan, passed his test in June. Even the step-grandmother, Janie Mackenzie, attempted one, though her physiology made it impossible to analyze. Officially, none of the immediate family were found deceptive, and yet polygraphs, as the Globe and Mail reminded readers, are not admissible in Canadian courts. They measure stress, not truth. So while they may provide reassurance, they cannot rule out deception entirely. If we place Haywood's account next to those polygraph results, a troubling picture emerges. The parents appear cleared, at least on paper, but the blanket fragments found near the home, one snagged in a tree, another discovered in the family's trash bag, suggest manipulation of evidence. And then, weeks later, a witness describes a woman and a car. The official record, pieced together from multiple sources, seems almost contradictory. On one hand, parents who pass polygraphs. On the other, evidence that children were not simply lost, but led away. Memory is imperfect, and that has been one of the central criticisms of this sighting. Haywood herself misjudged the children's ages, and it took weeks for her to come forward. By then, opportunities to gather hard evidence were lost. Surveillance cameras had overwritten their footage. Tire marks on the roadside were gone. Even the chance of finding a license plate vanished into the fog of time. That delay is heartbreaking, because if her account is true, then RCMP missed their best chance to chase the gold sedan while it was still on the road. Still, we cannot ignore her testimony, because in a case filled with speculation, this account gives us something tangible to imagine. Two children walking toward a waiting car under the watch of a woman who has never been identified. If that sedan existed, then somewhere there is a driver who saw it again, a mechanic who serviced it, a neighbor who noticed it parked outside. Every vehicle has a story, and the gold sedan could hold the key to this one. By the end of May, investigators were left with a haunting possibility. Jack and Lilly did not simply disappear into the woods or the shadows of their own home. They may have stepped, hand in hand, into a car, driven away under the care of a woman no one can name. And that possibility turns this case from a local tragedy into something darker, a disappearance that may have been planned. Was Natasha Haywood's account the last true sighting of the Sullivan children? Or was it a mistaken memory, two different kids with an older relative at just the wrong place and time? The RCMP has never confirmed it, leaving the public suspended between hope and dread. But one thing is certain. If that sedan was real, then someone, somewhere, knows where it went. And that is where the story turns next, to the highways, the toll plazas, and the cameras that might have caught a glimpse of the gold sedan as it left Nova Scotia. Part 2. Who was the woman with the gold sedan? The court documents released to the media in August 2025 left one image burned into the minds of everyone following this case. Two children walking calmly, hand in hand, toward a waiting car. A woman, older, with loose curls, standing beside it, the back door already open. It is almost cinematic in its simplicity, but in real life, it is terrifying. If this was Jack and Lilly, then the woman is the key. She is either the person responsible for their disappearance or the one who knows who is. So who could she have been? That question has sparked endless speculation, and it is one investigators themselves have wrestled with since the witness, Natasha Haywood, came forward at the end of May. On paper, her description is broad: Caucasian, 50 to 60 years old, loose curls, standing next to an older gold or tan sedan. Nothing about that is specific enough to point to a name, but the behavior she described, the way the children were moving toward her, suggests familiarity. 4 and 6 years old, children at that age rarely walk calmly toward a stranger's car unless something draws them in. That is why many believe the woman may not have been a stranger at all. Think about what that implies. If the children recognized her, then she was either a relative, a neighbor, or a family acquaintance. Someone who had been around enough times that they felt safe approaching her. This raises uncomfortable questions. Could she have been someone within the family circle, someone investigators overlooked? Remember, according to affidavits released to the Globe and Mail, multiple family members were tested with polygraphs. Malehya Brooks Murray, the mother, and Daniel Martell, the stepfather, were both tested on May 12th and deemed truthful. Cody Sullivan, the biological father, took his test on June 12th and passed. Even step-grandmother Janie McKenzie underwent one, though her results were inconclusive due to physiological issues. On paper, that clears the immediate family. But polygraphs are unreliable. They are not admissible in Canadian courts, as both the Canadian Press and CBC reminded readers. They measure physiological stress, not lies. A skilled liar can pass, and an innocent person under pressure can fail. So should we truly cross everyone off the list just because a machine said truthful? Or does this mean the mysterious woman was someone on the periphery, not tested, not questioned deeply, but close enough to the family for the children to trust her? Another possibility, of course, is that she was a stranger who knew exactly what to say. Those who prey on children often use simple, devastatingly effective tricks. Candy, toys, the words, "Your mom sent me." If someone had studied the family, watched their patterns, they could have easily lured Jack and Lilly out. The fact that Natasha described the children walking calmly does not automatically mean trust. It could mean manipulation. But if she was a stranger, why was she there? Lansdowne Station is not a bustling city street. It is a rural road. Cars don't just sit idling with their doors open unless they are waiting for someone. That detail is one of the most chilling. The door wasn't closed, it was already open, as though this was planned. Investigators understood what that could mean. That is why, according to Global News, they requested court orders for video from the Cobequid Pass, a tolled section of highway in Nova Scotia. They asked for surveillance footage of every car leaving the province between May 1st at 2:25 p.m., the time of the last confirmed sighting of the children at Dollarama, and May 3rd at 3 a.m. If a gold sedan had taken the children, then somewhere on that highway, it would have been captured. Cameras at toll booths do not lie. They record time, date, and sometimes even license plates. But here's the tragedy. By the time Natasha reported her sighting on May 31st, weeks had passed. Most systems overwrite their footage after a set number of days. The odds that useful video still existed were slim. That is why timing matters so much in missing children cases. A witness who hesitates for weeks can erase the very trail investigators need to follow. And yet, even with the delay, police treated this tip seriously. They met with Natasha in early June, walked the stretch of road with her, listened carefully as she described the children, the woman, the car. They noted every detail in affidavits now released to the press. But the documents also include a sobering line. None of the tips so far have led to Jack and Lilly's location or have been corroborated by the investigation. That means no second witness, no surveillance, no physical evidence has ever supported what Natasha claimed she saw. So where does that leave us? On one hand, a detailed account that matches the timeline of the disappearance and offers the only plausible explanation for how two children vanished in broad daylight. On the other, a memory clouded by time, possibly misjudged ages, and no corroboration. Investigators are left in limbo. Was this the crucial sighting they needed? Or was it a mirage, two other children walking with their grandmother that morning? For me, the most haunting part is the psychology of it. If Natasha was right, then the children were not dragged kicking and screaming. They walked willingly. That means they trusted this woman, whether she was a familiar face or a skilled manipulator. And if they trusted her, it means she had power over them. The kind of power that makes a child climb into a car without hesitation. That image alone is enough to keep parents awake at night. But there is another layer. If this woman existed, if the car existed, then someone else must have seen them. Cars don't vanish. Neighbors notice. Mechanics remember. Cameras capture. Which raises the most frustrating question of all. Did RCMP miss their only chance to trace the sedan before the trail went cold? And if so, what does that mean now? If the trail has gone, is this case destined to remain unsolved? Or is there still someone out there who knows the woman, recognizes the description, and has not come forward? As we move into Part 3, we'll examine the broader efforts police made to trace vehicles, review toll footage, and investigate every lead related to that sedan. Because if a car carried Jack and Lilly away from Lansdowne Station, then it had to drive somewhere. And somewhere, there may still be a record of its path. Part 3. The Vanishing Trail on the Highway. When court documents were finally released to the media in late August, one request from the RCMP stood out. It wasn't for more polygraphs, or for interviews with relatives, or even for financial records. It was for the cameras at the Cobequid Pass, the toll section of Nova Scotia's main highway. The request was precise. Investigators wanted video records of every vehicle leaving the province between the afternoon of May 1st at 2:25 p.m., the time Lilly and Jack were last confirmed on Dollarama surveillance, and the early hours of May 3rd at 3 a.m. That window of time matters. It covers the moment the children were last seen in public, the night they were supposedly put to bed, the morning they disappeared, and the hours immediately after. If they were placed in a vehicle, if the mysterious gold sedan really carried them away, then it would have had to pass through one of those cameras. Nova Scotia is not an island, but it is close. Roads in and out are limited. Toll plazas are choke points, capturing images and data from every passing car. If there was a gold sedan leaving the province with two children in the back seat, Cobequid should have seen it. But here is the tragedy of timing. By the time RCMP filed for those records, weeks had already passed. Surveillance systems are not designed to store footage forever. Many overwrite within days. By May 31st, when Natasha Haywood first reported her sighting of the sedan, nearly a month had been lost. Tire tracks on the roadside were long gone. Witness memories had faded, and video footage that might have shown the car had likely been erased. Still, investigators pushed forward. According to reporting by Global News, the affidavit submitted to court explicitly cited Malehya's own words. She told police that she believed Cody Sullivan, the children's biological father, might have picked them up and taken them to New Brunswick. That claim, later shown to be false when Cody passed his polygraph and told investigators he had not seen the children in 3 years, gave police further reason to search the highways. If a parent had spirited them away, the Cobequid Pass was the only logical exit. But Cody's statements contradicted Malehya's suspicion. He insisted he was at home on May 2nd, and police later confirmed his alibi. This contradiction highlights just how chaotic the early days of the investigation were. Parents pointing fingers, rumors spreading, and investigators trying to separate fact from fear. But beneath all the noise, the idea of a vehicle remained solid. A gold sedan with an older woman was not simply hearsay. It was a described scene, and if it was real, then the car had to go somewhere. That is why the toll request is so important. It represents investigators chasing the only physical lead that could connect the children's disappearance to an actual road out of Nova Scotia. Now, imagine for a moment What might have happened if the request had been filed within 48 hours? Investigators could have combed through clear images of every gold sedan leaving the province, cross-referenced license plates, knocked on doors, and asked questions. They could have checked whether children were visible in the back seats, or if any drivers matched the description of the mysterious woman. Instead, by late May, the trail had gone cold. Every hour lost was an opportunity erased. To many following the case, this feels like the cruelest irony. The technology existed to potentially capture the escape, but bureaucracy, hesitation, and delayed witness reporting meant the moment was missed. When investigators finally asked for the footage, they may have been searching in an empty archive. But even without the images, the request itself tells us something important. RCMP were seriously considering that the children had not just wandered from their home. They were considering the possibility that they had been transported, deliberately by car, out of the province. For weeks, the official line repeated by spokespeople like Cindy Bayers was that the case was being treated as a missing persons file, not a criminal abduction. But actions often speak louder than words, and asking for toll camera data on every vehicle leaving Nova Scotia is not the action of a team chasing two wandering kids. It is the action of investigators quietly preparing for the possibility of an abduction. And yet, the public was never told that at the time. Families, volunteers, neighbors were searching forests, fields, and streams. Helicopters scanned lakes, dogs sniffed through brush, hundreds of people scoured the land around Lansdowne Station. All the while, in court, officers were quietly seeking permission to trace cars hundreds of kilometers away. This duality, the official reassurance versus the hidden urgency, may explain why so many in the community now feel betrayed. They were searching the wrong places, while the real trail may have been vanishing on the highway. For me, this moment in the case is the most haunting, because it reveals the thin line between knowing and never knowing. If that gold sedan carried Lilly and Jack across the toll road, the proof might have once been there. A blurry camera image, a passing license plate, a timestamp. But the delay means we may never see it. What could have been hard evidence is now just a ghost of possibility. So we are left with questions. Did the sedan ever pass the Cobequid Pass? Was the mysterious woman local, or did she drive the children out of Nova Scotia entirely? And if she did, where did that road lead? To New Brunswick, to Quebec, or even further? These are the questions investigators have struggled with. And in Part 4, we will turn to the most disturbing evidence of all: the fragments of Lilly's pink blanket, the physical clues that were found near the home and in the trash, and how they might connect, or contradict, the story of the gold sedan. Part 4, the pink blanket and the conflicting truths. In a case already filled with contradictions, perhaps nothing captures the haunting uncertainty more than the fragments of Lilly's pink blanket. Court documents released to the Canadian press and global news describe how, on the very first day the children were reported missing, May 2nd, 3 family members stumbled upon a piece of that blanket tangled in the branches of a tree along Lansdowne Station Road. It was exactly 1 kilometer from the family home. The image is chilling. A child's comfort item, bright pink, hanging like a flag in the wind, far from the safety of the bed it belonged in. Police quickly confirmed with Malehya Brooks-Murray and Daniel Martel that the blanket was Lilly's. They showed them a photograph, and both identified it immediately. But when RCMP brought in a sniffer dog, something strange happened. The animal could not pick up any trace of Lilly or Jack. No scent trail leading away from the blanket, no confirmation that the children had ever been there. The blanket was real, but the trail was silent. 2 days later, another piece of the very same blanket appeared, this time in a garbage bag at the end of the family's own driveway. According to CBC's reporting on the court documents, forensic testing confirmed both fragments were part of a single blanket. This discovery sent shockwaves through the investigation. One fragment was caught in a tree, as if torn during a walk or placed there on purpose. The other was hidden in the trash, discarded close to home. The contrast is striking, one in public view, one buried in refuse. If we consider these fragments alongside the witness account of the gold sedan, the story becomes even more tangled. If the children were last seen walking toward a car, why would Lilly's blanket be left behind in two different places? Did she drop it on the way, leaving one part behind before being led into the vehicle? Or did someone intentionally tear it, planting pieces in strategic spots to create confusion for searchers? The fact that the sniffer dog could not detect their scent suggests staging. A child's blanket is usually saturated with their smell. If no scent was there, did that mean the blanket was planted after the fact? This is where the polygraph results, the family statements, and the physical evidence collide in ways that make the case so unnerving. Officially, the mother and stepfather passed their lie detector tests. The biological father passed his as well. None of them admitted to harming the children, and investigators wrote in their affidavits that, at least at that point, the case was not believed to be criminal in nature. Yet here we are, with physical items suggesting deliberate placement. Blankets don't rip themselves and land in both a tree and a trash bag. Someone moved them. Someone knew what they were doing. The darker interpretation is obvious. If the blanket was planted, then it was an attempt to mislead, to make investigators and searchers look one way while something else happened another way. The brighter interpretation, if we can call it that, is that the children themselves dropped or lost the blanket as they wandered. But even then, why did the dog fail? Why was one piece in the family's own garbage? These are contradictions that point toward human involvement, not accident. So we are left with two competing narratives. One comes from the witness who described the gold sedan. In her story, the children were alive, moving, heading toward a waiting car, perhaps trusting the woman who stood beside it. The other comes from the blanket fragments, silent and strange, suggesting either abandonment, struggle, or deception. If we believe the witness, then the blanket fragments are red herrings. If we believe the blanket, then maybe the witness misremembered or saw children who were not Jack and Lilly at all. And this is the terrible weight of unsolved cases. Every clue has two sides. Every piece of evidence raises as many questions as it answers. Was the blanket a trail left by Lilly herself, or a trick by someone else? Was the woman in the gold sedan real, or a misidentified stranger at the wrong place, wrong time? Did the highway cameras once hold the answer, only to be erased by the passing of weeks? Or was there never anything on those tapes to begin with? The only certainty is that Jack and Lilly remain missing. 4 months later, there are still no bodies, no confirmed sightings, no arrests, just fragments of a blanket, the shadow of a car, and the desperate hope that someone, somewhere, knows the truth. As the community of Lansdowne Station waits, the rest of us are left with haunting images. 2 small children walking hand in hand, a woman waiting by a car with its door open, and a pink blanket torn in two. These are the pieces of a puzzle that refuses to fit. And so we end where we began, with more questions than answers. Did Jack and Lilly climb into that gold sedan? Did someone close to them orchestrate their disappearance? Or are we still missing the one clue, the one voice, that will finally tell us what happened on that quiet May morning in Nova Scotia? And that is where the case stands tonight. Fragments of a pink blanket, a mysterious woman, and 2 children who have simply vanished. If you've followed Jack and Lilly's story with us, you know this investigation is far from over. What do you think really happened on that morning in Lansdowne Station? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to True Child Cases for more updates, because until the truth is found, this story isn't finished.